There's a train a-comin'. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All right, folks, it is Thursday. You are listening to Nichols Live. If you got somebody that wants to listen in, the number's 401-283-6754. Have them press 1 when they get there. If you can hear me, let me see. I got a message here. Let me see what it says. Hold one. It says, I am live. So, welcome. Guys, there's quite a bit to talk about today. Greg will give me the numbers here in a few minutes of how many people seem to be listening. I want to bring one thing up. I was notified this morning that on Newsmax, there is a person advertising, you're not going to believe it, the pistol crossbow, the exact one that I told you about through BUDK catalog. He sells his for $49.95, and I think BUDK sells theirs for $39.95. And Alden told me there's one maybe even less. We'll have to get that and post it if you want to get it. I care not where you get one, folks, but you need to get one, because what I'm going to tell you about today is reading the signs. You've got to watch the signs. Nobody's going to come out and just tell us this thing's nosediving until it nosedives. Now, first off, you'll notice that the big news today, of course, is the plane crash. I want everybody to recognize and say a prayer, because over and above what caused the wreck or the crash, there were 60 some odd souls, 66 souls lost in the plane crash. And I can only imagine. I never want to experience it. I hope no one ever again experiences it. I just can't imagine the fear in a plane that's going down and knowing it's going down. It's got to be horrible. So take time to say a prayer for the people we don't even know. But they were 66 souls. Just know it's a terrible thing to lose someone that way. Now, you won't see it, I don't believe, in the news necessarily, but I think the story is posted on our Facebook page. Saudi Arabia is paying their contractors with IOUs. Saudi Arabia is paying contractors with IOUs. And are you sitting down? The major banks of Saudi Arabia, Moody's, has downgraded them all. Downgraded them. That's their investment rating. Now, this is Saudi Arabia. I mean, this is the oil people of the world. Why? Why are they being downgraded? First off, the reason they're being downgraded, the reason Saudi Arabia is in trouble, is because of the Iranian deal Obama made. That's right. The Iranian deal Obama made. You see, nobody knows about it. I've tried to tell, but then who am I? And unfortunately, periodically, I get information, as most of y'all should know by now, that I can't broadcast. I can't tell where I get it. I just can't. But in the deal that Obama made, part of this Iranian deal that cost all of us $150 billion, real money, $150 billion. Part of the deal was Obama agreed to have Iran dump millions of barrels of oil into the marketplace. And they agreed to dump it at $25 a barrel or less. And that was when Saudis and OPEC were trying to sell it for $40 to $45 a barrel. And it just knocked the props right out from under Saudi Arabia. And when that happened, it knocked the props out of the financial backbone of that entire country and its economic situation. But that's not why the banks were downgraded. I mean, it didn't help, but that's not all of the reason. So you see, you're going to see before this is all done what Obama did, not just to us, but to the Middle East and the world. This was a sinister, sinister deal that he made. And then the guy that actually did the PR and sold us on what it was about has already stated and would not go before a congressional committee. Obama used executive privilege to keep him from testifying, but he had already stated that they had lied to the American people. They lied to get the thing approved. Now, part of the deal was that Iran would be able to dump its stockpile of oil for $25 a barrel with a specific reason of hurting Saudi Arabia. Why would Obama want to hurt Saudi Arabia? Why? Well, there's a thing called Rahma and Rahman. Rahma, Rahman are terms that identify the nations that surround Israel. Now, after World War II, a little bit of history for you. Churchill, Truman, and Stalin, they got together and they drew these new country boundaries in the Middle East. Why? Why did they do that? Because they wanted to ensure the free flowing of oil from the Middle East at that time, which was the major source of oil to the world. They wanted to make sure that they had control of the oil and it did not go to some tyrannical government like the Nazis ever again. So they fixed it. They drew these boundaries. That's how Iraq was created. That's how Kurdistan, which still to this day, the Kurdish people hate the fact that they are included in Iraq. They believe they are their own sovereign country of Kurdistan. But they redrew it to keep oil flowing freely and to prevent it from going to tyrannical governments. But the other reason they did what they did was to secure the safety of Israel. Rahma is what is described as the countries around Israel, the nations that make up the kindling, so to speak, of the fire that would burn Israel. Rahman is the match that lights the fire and destroys Israel. Now, one of our major governments, now, by the way, back to the reforming of these countries, we put in puppet governments. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iraq. I mean, we put in puppet governments. Was that right? Was it wrong? I don't know. But they were governments, albeit tyrannical. They were still governments that were loyal to a degree to us. Shah of Iran was one. But in comes Obama, and his goal has been to destroy Rahman, to destroy it. That's why it goes into Israel, to Egypt. You know, this airplane crash further damages Egypt. You see, Egypt has virtually been destroyed after Obama goes in with his Arab Spring. The Arab Spring, guys, led to the destruction of Egypt. Egypt's tourism business has plummeted. And with the crash of this airline plane, with this crash, you can bet it will be erased totally now. So you can expect Egypt to go nuts. The other thing that happened by the Arab Spring, you removed a leader in Egypt that eventually, after several years of turmoil and trouble, finally had a stabilized relationship with Israel. Well, that's gone. Then he goes, gets Gaddafi, Lebanon. Now they're going after Syria. They're going around and taking them all. But one of the major stumbling blocks that was so well connected to the United States of America, Saudi Arabia. Now, let me tell you, the Saudis, in my mind, remember, I don't like Muslims. I don't like them. You can't trust them. Saudi Arabia has been no great friend of America. And let's not forget that 17 of the 19 terrorists that blew up 9/11 came from Saudi Arabia. And the 28 pages that are not released yet, that are trying to be released, those 28 pages are going to show a connection to the Saudi government. Now, it's not going to be a smoking gun that says exactly that, but it's going to lead that way, I fear. So here comes all of this oil out in the marketplace. And then here comes Schumer. Schumer comes out and they passed this thing through the Senate yesterday saying that it's okay for 9/11 victims to sue the government of Saudi Arabia. Now, let's be clear about that. In American courts, they can sue in American courts. The Saudi government is mad as a hornet. And if you'll remember, we've already talked about it yesterday or the day before. Saudi government has kind of made it clear that if that law gets passed, it would mean economic problems for America. Saudi Arabia has $107 billion worth of U.S. Treasuries notes. It's got $2 trillion in total investments in America. So now the Saudis get all wormed up. And you know what happens? They dump $107 billion worth of treasury notes into the marketplace at dirtball prices. And what that'll do is take the value of all United States Treasury notes and throw it in the trash. Here we go. Destruction of our economy. That's what they were talking about. That's why they said you do this, and it means damage to the American economy. They can damage our economy. So now we've hit them with the price of oil because of the Iranian deal. Then we pass this thing. Obama swears that he will veto that bill. That's one of his lies. That's one of his things where he gets to say, well, I didn't do it. But Schumer's already made it quite clear that they have enough votes, they believe, to override any veto by the president. That, in my world, is called plausible deniability. That's how our black Muslim president gets to say to the Saudi king, hey, I didn't do it. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at the American people. Be mad at us. And folks, we didn't do it. He did. He did. And surely to God, somebody ought to see, due to the closeness of the Democrats in the Senate, certainly Chuck Schumer and the boys, have you seen them do one thing since Obama has been president that he did not like? Have you? Can you think of one thing he has done or they have done that he didn't like? Or one thing he did that they didn't go along with? I don't think you can. So the stage is set. Now remember, all of these big banks around the globe, they're all connected to what? The Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve. Now, you have to understand that the nasty secret I know about, that I've tried to kind of dance around and tell y'all about hypothetically, I'm not the only person in the world that knows it. I assure you of that. Most probably everybody around the world knows about it except the people of this country. It's just I'm contractually and honor bound that I cannot tell you specifically. I just can't. I take a chance every time I tell you what I do. You see, they know this thing's about to snowball. And when one major bank here starts to fall, the other major banks here start the cascading effect. And then, of course, other banks around the globe that are tied to the Federal Reserve, they end up following suit. So a lot of people are maneuvering and shifting and preparing, which is kind of what I've been asking y'all to do. Get prepared. Well, at 17 after, let me say this, it's commercial time. Thanks to Janine, Dixie, and a few others, I was able to get treatment. You hear me? It's amazing when I get the treatments how well I feel and sound. Today, it's the $500 day again. I'm just going to ask, please help if you can. If you can. I don't want to browbeat you, and I don't want to beg. I hate that. So I'm just going to say this is what's got to be raised today. If you can, please help. I got a message here: Treasury notes or Federal Reserve notes? Treasury notes, T notes. That's what they're holding. Now they hold Federal Reserve notes as well, but the 107 billion. And I might be wrong, listener, but I think it is Treasuries. So the commercial's over. If you can help, go to PayPal, nicholslive@aol.com, and it would sure be wonderful if people started now ahead of time. Let's see what Greg says about the number 6,000 mark. We hit 6,000, folks. Thank you. Thank you all. That's a great triumph for us, because 6,000 is over half of the way to the 10,000 that we got to have first of the month. So please spread the word. Tell people we're here. Alden is, I just got a note here. It is Treasury Notes. I was right. Alden has got us up on YouTube. So please, folks, start spreading the word. Please. We've got to form this army up. Time is running short. Very, very short. Because these things are starting to manifest. They are. Now, back to Saudi Arabia. I was told that Goldman Sachs put out a statement that the oil glut is over. That is a lie. Do you hear me? That is a lie. I can tell you because of my relationship with Lloyd's of London, there still are freighters stuck out in the ocean, parked, nowhere to go, no place to offload. That's one of the reasons Saudi Arabia is running out of cash. Those ships are still out there. Well, why would Goldman Sachs put out a release that the oil glut is over? Well, folks, that's what they do. You see, Goldman Sachs is so powerful that they can do a press release like that and affect the market. They can make people start buying and selling oil again just by saying it's over. It's not over. It's not over. Don't believe Goldman Sachs. It's kind of like people that sell gold. I'm not saying all of them. I'm not here to besmirch anybody that's in the business of selling gold and silver. I'm not. But you will notice that a lot of the bulletins that come out as though they are news stories, when you read a little closer, you will find that they come from a company that sells gold or silver. And they talk about you need to get gold because the dollar's this or this is happening. And it may be true. I'm not saying what they say is not true. But you need to always watch. Always watch. See the source where the information comes from, please. Look, if you're going to become a professional, if you're going to learn to read the signs and know what's going on in the world and be able to help us save our country, these are things you've got to learn. You've got to learn. I've got to teach you. Because there's a whole lot of stuff that you've been listening to, a whole lot of stuff you've been watching, a whole lot of stuff you've been reading that is pure propaganda one way or the other. Some call it advertising, some call it whatever. Please learn. I'll give you a quick example. Fox News Network. Have you ever noticed that Fox News Network, what commercials do you see the majority of the time? You see pharmaceutical ads. Pharmaceutical ads. They are huge. What is this? Hold on. This is from Greg at Leading Edge. Another thing that will help listeners will be to announce during the show that you can be heard Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Central on www.leadingedgeradio.com or by calling 401-283-6754. Yes, you're right. And when you call that number, have them press 1, please. Look, Fox News, a big part of their advertising revenue comes from who? Big Pharma. Now, you'll notice with the ads you see for all these drugs on TV, have you ever noticed that they tell you if you've got the shaky leg syndrome or whatever, they tell you about this syndrome, about this disease or whatever it is that you've got. What they're doing, folks, is they're using advertising to psychosomatically plant in your head that you've got this problem. And if you look at the ads real close, guess what they're doing? They're telling you what to go in and tell the doctor you got the symptoms you have so that the doctor will prescribe the drug that they're advertising. Isn't that cool? Isn't that slick? Isn't that slick? And so when you wonder which side Fox is on, look at who's paying their payroll. Big Pharma, the pharmaceutical industry. They're the ones paying Fox. So when you hear things from Fox News relative to the pharmaceutical industry, don't be surprised if they don't just kind of hedge the truth a little bit to protect their interest. Think about these things, guys. Let me see what this one says. I'm sorry, I lost it there. Pardon me. Hold on. I'm trying to read these things. You're better off not even to watch MSM. Better off not even watch MSM. I don't know what MSM is. But anyway, don't watch it. I agree. Folks, we've got a lot to do. as an army. And the thing that will help us grow our army is as you get informed and you become what is known as a technical. Technical simply means you're there with the facts and nothing but the facts. Remember, what is a patriot? A patriot is one that seeks the truth. Today, a patriot seeks the truth. And the truth is harder and harder to find today than it's been. You know, you can't believe it. Back in the days when our nation was founded, when they didn't have radio, they didn't have telephones, everybody lived in little communities off and away from each other. You would think communication would be something incredible, hard to do. Word would be hard to spread. Well, I believe that if you look at today with this massive amount of communication ability we have, the truth seems further and further away than it was even then. But it's our job, yours and mine. If we're going to win people, to help us, they've got to learn to believe in us. The listener said, number one, brainwashing technique, TV, video games, cartoons, education, yes. It's actually not brainwashing, listener. It is short for mainstream media, MSM, mainstream. Thank you. It's not technically called brainwashing. It's called social engineering, if you want to know. Social engineering. I'm getting text here. Right. All right. It says here, tell them to go to our public figure page and like the post by the team. I'm going to tell you guys, this texting stuff, one day Alden and I will have it where we can take calls, because texting is hard because sometimes it don't make sense. This is what I get from, tell them to go to our public figure page and like the post by the team. What on earth does that mean? I hope you know, because I sure don't. I don't, but I'm sure it means something, or I wouldn't be told to tell you that. But we got to grow our numbers. And the whole point of our army is to create an impregnable force, a force of people that don't need Larry Nichols, that don't need anyone to tell them up, down, left, right, whatever. A force of people that understand how to cut through it all, and know the truth, and tell the truth. Because getting people to join us is a slow process. It's not that fast. And what generally has to happen is somebody that opens up a little bit with you. Remember, what is the rule? We haven't talked about this in a long time, but we're going to talk about it right quick. What is the rule? The rule is when somebody asks you a question about something that we talk about, you tell them. And that's it. Don't go telling people too much. People that are just starting to open their eyes, the worst thing you can do is overload them. Answer the question and get away. Make them come back for more. And the way to win at that is when you tell them something, you know what? It had better be the truth. And then they'll see when it comes true, when what we have said comes true, they'll come back for more. So you've got to learn to read the signs. And our force has got to be a force of 10,000 people strong, not just strong in numbers, strong in will, strong in dedication to this country, strong, willing to stand up, willing to make phone calls to people that we would otherwise never have reason to call. But we got to get their attention, and we got to make them understand we're not kidding and we're not bluffing. Now, by the way, I told you there'll be a story come out in the Inquirer that I'm working with about Hillary going to a witch's church back when she was in Arkansas. She got to LA. Tomorrow at noon Central Time, I'll be on with Alex before I come on here. So you might want to be there. I don't know what he wants to ask me. Whatever he asks, I will answer. It's time for our second commercial. No one has yet dinged PayPal. We are 500 away. 500 away. Please help with that if you can. Please help. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to beg. It doesn't do my health any good to get down to the last 10 minutes and nothing be in, because the nerves, you have no idea what it does to me physically to be sitting on the edge. And you see how I sound and how I feel when I'm on schedule with the treatment. You've also seen and heard me when I have not been. Look, I'm just trying to stay around. All right. I'm just trying to be here to help everybody out. I'm trying to do my part for as long as I possibly can. So if you can, with somebody, start off dinging it so that we can get the dinging going ahead of time instead of wasting precious time lowering myself to beg. And by the way, there is nothing much that I could do on earth that is more offensive to me, than having to beg for help from y'all. I don't like it. I hate it. And I hate it for y'all. And I know so many of y'all have given all you have to give, but there's an awful lot of us out there now. Please help. I will add this. The crossbow, if you go to Newsmax, I told you about that, they're actually selling the crossbow that we've been talking about. So people are catching on. I wonder if people listen. Maybe people are hearing what we talk about. But the longbow that I want you to get, the recurve longbow, 12-pound draw. Everybody in this audience can do it. Even I can do it. You can do it. It's easier to operate than even the crossbow. And very soon you will be extremely proficient. Well, I have worked out with Karen, and we're going to give one away. Now, here's what you got to do. We would like any and everybody that wants to get their name on the list to get that bow, to go to my Facebook page, Larry Nichols, Conway, Arkansas, and acknowledge that you want to be in on it. We would like to have a donation that might help us raise the money we need. You can donate $5, you can donate $100, you can donate $1,000. Donate what you can, please. But let us know that your donation is to get you the boat. Somebody's going to get one. Somebody, one of y'all. Now, just so that we are legal, you don't have to make a donation. You can do it without a donation. Just let us know you want in on the drawing, and you will be in on the drawing. But folks, these signs that I'm telling you about, they're coming. And they're closing in on us. And just as would be expected, they're closing in on us from outside of us. From outside of us. And by the time it hits us, there'll be no place to go. We'll be the last stand. And folks, your last stand is where you're standing and sitting and walking right now. Protect it. Be able to protect it. I don't want you giving up your guns. I don't want that at all. But what I am saying, you can have a bow. You can go in your backyard. You can practice all day long on that bow. At 12 pounds, it will not hurt any of you to do it. And what you're training to do, you'll be able to do in a couple of days. And at least I won't have to worry about you with somebody breaking in. You will be able to defend yourself, either with the crossbow or the longbow. Please, defend yourself, protect yourself, and stock up. Stock up. You're going to, look, I'm asking you to protect your money. I'm not asking for it. I'm asking you to protect your money. I'm saying you keep that money in the bank, and here's what's going to happen. There's a good chance you're going to end up like Greece and everybody else. You're going to end up like Puerto Rico. Have it where you can get to it. They don't cost you anything. I'm asking you to get food, to at least make it a month or two, maybe even 6 months, food and water. And don't forget getting food and water for your pets. That's not helping me. That's for you. Do it. Be ready. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you to do that. Now, one thing I was talking about earlier today, Einstein's time-based compendiums theory. Time-based compendium theory. What is that? Remember I told y'all the story about what was he talking about? You take a string with a ball on the end of it and you spin the string around and the ball goes at a speed. And then you cut the string in half, put the ball there, spin it with the same amount of energy. You notice the ball goes faster. And what he said, as you move closer, as we move closer to what he called the event, as we move closer to the event, things start speeding up. Now think about that for a second. Larry, why do you tell us about nutty stuff like that? What is it about quantum physics and stuff that we need to know? I'm telling you, it's a part of learning to read the signs. Things that we said 10 years ago couldn't possibly happen. They happen. And things that we thought, well, they might happen, but it won't happen in my lifetime. Well, guess what? It's happened in our lifetime. And as we get closer to the event, things are going to speed up. And if you cut that string in half, that ball's whizzing. It's moving fast. You cut that string in half, and that ball's moving really fast. And as you get right near the edge of it, right near the edge of your hand, that ball's moving so fast you can't hardly even deal with it. We're getting closer to the event. We're getting much closer to the event. I was just notified by Alden that they're going through a severe thunderstorm. So if we get knocked off, I'll have to call Greg and make arrangements. So just hang on, folks. If we get knocked off, we'll do something real fast to come back on. So I tell you about the time-based compendium because that's what I'm warning you of. As we look way out there and we see Saudi Arabia and we see their banks being downgraded and we see the fact that their economy's hurting, they're having to pay with IOUs for their contractors. As we look at Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico is begging us to bail them out because if we don't bail out their failed economy, then the government's going to repatriate all the money that they have in the bank. And then the poor people of Puerto Rico, guess what? They're going to have nothing. See, all that stuff's happening out there, we think, but it's actually moving this way. It's steadily moving this way. And now we hear about Puerto Rico. Then we hear about Saudi Arabia. It's amazing how fast it's going to start. We heard about the Deutsche Bank, right? Didn't we hear about the Deutsche Bank? Just talked about it yesterday. Here they go. They all start falling one by one, except it's happening every day. Every day. And I promise you, as we get closer to the event, the death knell rings, and it rings loud. Another thing I want to tell you about today, polls are out. New poll. Everybody's shocked. Donald Trump pulls in the lead over Hillary. Trump pulls ahead of Hillary. Oh my God. So everybody thinks Hillary's done. Let me tell you something, folks, and you listen up, and you listen up tight. Since probably the first election Bill Clinton ever ran for governor, since that election, people have hated their guts, but they always win. You see, you're thinking wrong if you think Hillary's in trouble. That's not the kind of race the Clintons win and run. They don't run. Hillary is not here to make you necessarily like her above Trump or whomever she's running against. Not a matter of that. A Clinton campaign, to which I know very, very well. Why? Because I designed their system. A Clinton campaign is, as I told Mr. Witt and Mr. Jack Stevens years ago. Here's what I said, folks. I remember it like it was yesterday. I said, gentlemen, there is no way in hell I or anybody else can make the people like the Clintons. It ain't going to happen. He's a pathological liar, womanizer, etc., etc. She's a queer, mean, you name it. Ain't going to happen. Mr. Witt looked at me, or no, it was Mr. Jack. I'm sorry, Mr. Jack looked at me and he said, "We paid you big bucks for that." And I said, "I didn't." I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Well, we paid you to win." I said, "I didn't know." He said, "You're telling us we're going to lose." I said, "I didn't tell you we're going to lose. I just said we couldn't make people like them. So what we're going to do is make people hate them." And he kicked back, stuck his cigar down in his glass of tea, and kicked his chair back. And I thought the man was going to jump up and knock the heck out of me. But that was the beginning of a Clinton campaign. That was the beginning of a Clinton campaign. Because if you know what I know, you know for everybody that hates the Clintons, there's somebody that hates them. And the people that hate the Clintons, the people that hate them, because those people hate the Clintons, then we can get them to vote for the Clintons. Number one. And then number two, we run a two-dimensional campaign where everybody else runs one. We run a two-dimensional. What is that? What is a two-dimensional campaign versus a one-dimensional campaign? Most politicians today run a one-dimensional campaign, try to make you like them and vote for them. Two-dimensional campaigns where you try to make people vote for you and like you. But the other dimension is you make them hate the enemy or your opponent more than they hate you. And it's an awful lot easier to make people hate the other guy than it is to make people like you. Now, if you don't believe, you think I'm making this up, go back to the Genie's Out of the Bottle, the book. I wrote about it in 98 or 99. I even told about it then. In the book, I state the object of the campaign is that Bill or Hillary must make themselves be whatever they've got to be, make themselves out to be whatever they've got to be to win. And you make your opponent out to be whatever they've got to be to lose. They are going to make people hate Trump more than they hate Hillary. Now, did you hear me? You're going to make people hate Trump more than you hate Hillary. Let's go back to our rules that we deal with every day. And remember, we've already used them. What is the rule I'm referring to in politics? One of the laws of politics: you can never make someone love you enough to work as hard to get you elected as somebody that hates you will work to defeat you. I get in trouble for this all the time. The power, the true power in politics, folks, is not love. It is not love. I want it to be, you want it to be, we want it to be. It ain't love. The true power in politics is hate. Hate. That is the key. And if you can achieve mastering the art of hate, you can do anything you want to do in politics. You could be, golly, president for 2 terms. You can run a crooked, you can be impeached, your spouse can be impeached. You can run a crooked foundation for years, take money, do everything that nobody else does, and then break the law with your emails and your servers, do everything, and still be in the race for president instead of being in jail. Go figure. They're going to make people hate Trump with a passion. So don't worry. Don't worry about the Clintons. That's what they will do. They're not going to have much success, as most of y'all know, making people like Hillary. Uh-oh, I've missed a commercial. Let me go to the last commercial. All right, guys. It's 47 after. We got 13 minutes. Not one dime has come in through PayPal. Please help me. Help me get the treatment I have to have so that I can be back tomorrow. Help me stay as well as I am today so that I can stay clear-headed long enough so that I can do the job I'm here to do, which I'll get into as soon as I get through this commercial. You'll know why I've been training you as I have been already, and you may not have even known it. I'm not going to waste any more time. Please. I'm not talking about it because I'm not begging as much, because I just can't take doing that no more. I can't take doing that anymore. But if I don't get the treatment, I will be a sick dog. And right now, I don't need to be that way. Not for us, not for the country. No, sir, I don't. Please go to PayPal. Please. You can go, by the way, if you don't have a PayPal account, go to Facebook, Larry Nichols, Conway, Arkansas, and there's a yellow button there. And if you've got any charge card, a debit card, you don't have to be in PayPal. You can make a contribution. Please go there and just use your debit card or credit card. It's easier probably than PayPal. Please go and do it. Now, back in the time I've got left, we've got 11 minutes to get $500. I've seen so many miracles with this program. God bless you for them. But I'm begging for a miracle today. Again, listen, this is where I come in. You see, I will take a portion of the money that the Clintons are allocating of their campaign cash that they're going to use. They're going to use 60 to 70% of the funds that they have in their campaign coffer. They're going to use 60 to 70%, according to the formula, to destroy Donald Trump, to cut him down, to make him out to be whatever he is really, or even if he's not, they're going to make people believe he is. And remember, they've got absolute control of the media, so the media will do its part. But my job, the walk I've got to walk that y'all can't walk, I got to do it. And you don't want to be with me when I do it. The walk I've got to walk is I will take a portion of that 60 to 70% and I'll make them spend it patching up their problems that I point out. This is from Greg. We need Larry Welfare, Alex Jones show Friday, and Leading Edge radio show right after that. Thank you, Greg. Please, folks, help. Greg and them are giving us everything. Alden's giving us the production, and Greg and them are giving us the time on Leading Edge. Please help. But do you see what my job is? How would you like to be me? I've got to take their planned money and make them spend it on the scandals that I get out about Hillary. That's right. And I've got to be able to do it. I've got to be able to get these scandals out. Thank you. I got a PayPal receipt, $4 from Robert. Robert, thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. He kicked it off. $4, thanks. Now we're $496 away. My job is to get in front of that Clinton bus and make it take a detour every day that I can. And I've got to be able to work in through the media, knowing that the media don't want to print one thing that I've got to say, or they don't want to do one program about it. I got to be in there, and I've got to trick them and make them do it. And I've got to be able to use whatever vehicle I can use to get the word out. I gotta, and I will do it. And maybe now you see why we have to have an army. Because as I break the scandal, and there will be many, but as I break the scandal, and the mainstream media and everybody else resists putting it out, guess what? There will be 10,000 of you or better that'll be putting it out to your networks. And then those networks will grow. And then those networks will grow. And the word will get out. The word will get out as long as the scandal that I bring forward is true. And as long as the things that I bring out, I'm able to bring out about them. Don't rely on me. And by the way, Alden sent 10. Thank you, Alden. Please, y'all. And then I got this from a listener. But then there is God. Praise Yahshua for miracles. Yes. Praise him. And he has been good to me and blessed me with miracles that I do not deserve. The greatest gift and miracle of all has been all of you. Folks, I can't promise you much, but I can promise you it's going to be a ride. It's going to be something. And I believe one day, a lady named Chris said this to me, and it really means something. She said one day she hopes she can look back with her grandchildren and come back to these times and say she was a part of saving this country. That she had a part, had a role in saving this country. Now think about that. Greg and the people at Leading Edge, you know what they can do? They can look back and say they were a part of saving this nation. If we save it. If we don't save it, they can at least look back and say they fought. Alden can say the same. Robert, Mary, Janine, all of you, Carla, all of you, Charlie, all of you, you were a part. Dixie, you were a part. And more names than I can say in the amount of time I've got left, you were all a part of the greatest battle this nation has had to fight. And believe it or not, it's been against the toughest enemy this nation has ever had to fight. It's against us. You know, I can't imagine looking at a young person today, I can't, what do they dream about? I mean, all it seems that they dream of is just getting stuff from the government free. Do they not have dreams of success? Do they not have dreams of what kind of life do they expect? What is it that they expect? What is the future for their lives? What do they expect when they have children? This life of mediocrity? This life, what is it? I don't know anymore. I don't even recognize the young people that go out and support Bernie Sanders and Hillary. I don't recognize them. What are you dreaming about? What is your dream? You want a Mercedes Benz, but you want the government to give it to everybody so everybody has a Mercedes? I mean, does anybody want to succeed anymore? Does anybody want to be rewarded for good hard work, good work ethics? Or is it all about everybody taking this piece of pie and everybody splitting it equally? You see, I don't believe in that. I don't believe that. So, with 3 minutes left in the program, I just want to say, please, this is your country. Fight for it. Fight for it. Suit up and fight for it today. Like the song says, there's a train coming. You don't need no baggage or ticket. You just get on board. But you got to get ready. Got to get ready. Now, everybody here, everybody that can hear my voice, rise up. Rise up. Stand up. Listener said they don't dream. They just have their hands out. Common Core outcome-based education is the thing for that. All right, folks. We've got about a minute. The outro music will start. And I got 1 hour to get $500. Well, actually, $486. 1 minute. If I get it, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And I look forward to talking with Alex. I don't know what we'll talk about, but he's the host. He'll pick it. So please go to PayPal or go to Larry Nichols, Conway, Arkansas on Facebook and push the button. And yes, listener said we need Trump. We do. All right, folks, with that, I'm out of here. Do what you can, please. See you tomorrow, hopefully. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of, one in a lullaby.